This is a versus between the Phase 1 Republic clone troopers and the Imperial Stormtroopers at the time of A New Hope. We will be comparing their training, armor, weapons, and then pit them against each other in a scenario. Clones were created on Kamino about 10 years before the Clone Wars. They were cloned from modified DNA of a renowned Mandalorian bounty hunter, Jango Fett. The Kaminoans modified the DNA of the clones so that they were loyal to the Republic, disciplined, and were less independent and aggressive than their original template. Additionally, the Kaminoans increased their clones' lung capacity, increased their reaction times, and improved their stamina. These modifications ensured the clones would be the best clone army the galaxy had ever seen. Another notable modification was the age acceleration in the clones, which made them age twice as fast as normal humans. Though this did help the Kaminoans meet their deadline for providing a fully grown clone army in 10 years, it did increase the risk of the clones being more defective. During the birthing process, the clones were transferred into birth units of 32, where they were trained, ate, and slept alongside their brothers for the next 10 years. These birth units would become platoons for clone soldiers to fight in. Having trained with their comrades literally from birth, clones formed a very strong bond between each other. All clones received basic training in core military skills, such as weapon handling, marksmanship, drill, and other essentials. The clones' training was molded and monitored by Jango Fett, as well as many other Mandalorian instructors. Since the training was created by such experienced individuals, the clones would become elite soldiers as a result. A few years after the establishment of the Galactic Empire, the Imperial military would start to recruit regular humans into the Stormtrooper Corps, a branch that used to be dominated solely by clones. In order to be recruited, a human would have to be 18 to 30 years old and would have to be the top of his or her class. If under the age of 18, humans could attend the Imperial Academies as young as 14 years old. At the Imperial Academies, cadets were subjected to rigorous training programs in order to produce highly trained stormtroopers fiercely loyal to the Empire. They were trained to disregard fallen comrades in battle and to press on, no matter what the cost, even when the odds were stacked against them. Among other things, cadets would train to fire blasters and learn to pilot Imperial walkers. Cadets were also forced to face programmable obstacle courses designed to test their strength, agility, reflexes, and intelligence. Such courses were tests of skill that became increasingly difficult over time, and accountability for losses were harsh. Due to the harshness of the training, many stormtroopers had low morale, and in some cases the training would be rushed as the Empire had to fill the ranks with stormtroopers in order to maintain the rapid expansion across the galaxy. Although it was rare, women were allowed to join the Stormtrooper Corps. During training, female cadets were placed in female-only units. The Phase 1 armor worn by the clones was loosely based on the design of Jango Fett's Mandalorian Shock Trooper armor. The full uniform consisted of 20 lightweight plastoid armor plates attached to a black body glove. The armor weighed just under 40 kilograms, or 88 pounds. Some aspects of the armor included the helmet's breath filter, a utility belt, and the boot's high-traction soles. Because the armor was used by an army of physically identical clones, only one size was needed. The armor was very heavy, uncomfortable, and not very well liked by the clone troopers. It did, however, have a coolant system to prevent overheating and also included enhanced breathing filters inside the T-visor. The armor suit also resisted vacuum environments, allowing the trooper to continue to fight outside of spacecraft for a short time, though recovery was needed afterwards. Clones were able to modify their armor to include visors, rangefinders, and jetpacks. The armor provided great protection against blaster bolts, being able to take multiple direct blaster hits, with some cases the trooper being able to fight on afterwards. Stormtrooper armor was a complete set of 18 pieces of white plastoid body armor that completely encased the body over a sealed black body glove. The design of the armor was specifically made to induce fear into the enemy. The armor significantly reduced the damage to the wearer from a blaster bolt, but it could be completely penetrated by more powerful cannon blast. The armor and the body glove worn beneath were designed to disperse the energy of a blaster bolt to protect the wearer, lessening the injury. Rather than making the trooper immune to blaster bolts, The armor instead would disperse the energy from the blast, which in most cases would save the trooper's life, but result in them being incapacitated or unconscious. This would allow the injured trooper to receive advanced medical treatment and allow them to return to service. The armor also deflected stun beams and served as excellent protection against explosions and shrapnel. It was almost impossible to kill a stormtrooper with a slug thrower unless the bullet was abnormally large or was specifically armor-piercing. Stormtrooper armor was fitted with air filters and fully protected the trooper against chemical and biological attacks. It could also protect the trooper from almost any environment, from the vacuum of space to the very extremes in cold and heat, but for a very limited period of time. The body glove itself provided insulation and cushioning while also regulating body temperature during periods of exertion. It could also act as a compression sleeve to stem bleeding in the event that a stormtrooper was injured. It also had limited protection to radiation. Most armor was integrated with a standard personal ray shield, but due to its massive power consumption, frequent failure, and overheating, it was rarely used. Although this armor provided less protection from blaster weapons than the Phase 1 clone armor, it offered superior protection to the elements of environments, and it was far more comfortable to wear. The weapon of choice for the Republic clone troopers was the DC-15A blaster rifle. The DC-15A blaster rifle weighs 4.4 kilograms, 2.2 pounds, can have a capacity of 500 shots, and has a max range of 10 kilometers, or 6.2 miles, on max power. Reloading the rifle tended to be difficult, and holding down the trigger over a period of time reduced accuracy. On the high setting, the rifle's powerful blue plasma bolts were more than capable of penetrating the armor of most infantry personnel, and were exceptionally effective against both droids and living targets. In addition to standard iron sights on the rifle's upper surface, the DC-15A could interface with the helmets of the clones to project a graphical gun sight on the trooper's heads-up display. It could also include a sniper scope that could double as a handhold in storage position. The blaster could be outfitted with ascension cable projectors to climb up walls or cliffs, as seen during the Battle of Tath. The blaster also had a stun setting. The standard issue blaster for Imperial Stormtroopers was the E-11 blaster rifle. The E-11 weighs 2.6 kilograms, or 5.7 pounds, can have a capacity of 500 shots, and has a max range of 300 meters, or 984 feet. The E-11 could alternate between semi-automatic, fully automatic, and pulse-fire settings, and was designed to use a variety of ammunition, including grenades, darts, and flares. A computer-enhanced scope compensated for dark, hazy, and smoky conditions, while a supplementary computer enabled the scope to display data specific to the weapon's current operating mode. The E-11's long barrel produced a tightly focused and very powerful particle beam, and was considered best suited for close quarters firefights, in particular the narrow confines of enemy installations and starship corridors. The top of the receiver had a universal quick-detach sight rail, mounted with a ring reticle 2x optical scope. This scope was capable of interfacing with a tactical heads-up display within a stormtrooper's helmet. The power settings ranged from stun to kill. The rifle had a rapid-fire mode with an expanded fire area, but would reduce accuracy drastically. Even though many stormtroopers were highly trained and were top of their class, their training was nowhere near as intense and elite as the clones, who were not only physically modified to be warriors, but also trained their entire lives. So the clones get a point for being the better trained soldiers. When it comes to armor, it is not as clear. It is really more up to opinion. The Phase 1 clone armor is more of a hit or miss. If hit by a blaster bolt, the clone will either die or be able to continue on the fight. They have about a 40 to 60% chance of living. While the Stormtrooper armor was designed to rather disperse the blaster bolt, which results in the trooper being knocked out, but still alive. The Stormtrooper, despite being knocked out as a result, has a higher chance of living than when hit than a clone trooper. Now, having unconscious, injured soldiers is almost as bad as having dead soldiers during a battle, so this benefit isn't a deal breaker. But because the Stormtrooper armor was more customizable and was equipped with more functions and was more comfortable to wear, it gets a slight edge over the Phase 1 clone armor. For weapons, the only real advantage the DC-15A rifle has over the E-11 rifle was its massive max range, being able to hit a target over 33 times farther. Other than that, the E11 is better in almost every other respect, which makes more sense as its design was based off of the DC-15A and was an improvement over it. Like the armor, the E11 has a slight edge over the DC-15A, only being a slight edge because it lacks 33 times the range of the DC-15A, which is a big factor. Although the Stormtroopers possess slightly better armor and weapons than the Phase 1 clones, their training and competence was nowhere near as high as the clones. If we were to pit 10 random Phase 1 clones against 10 random Stormtroopers, the clones would win almost, if not every time. Even if we picked the highest trained Stormtroopers, whose training was not rushed and had very high morale, they still wouldn't be as elite as the clones. In this case, though, the clones would probably win only about 80% of the time. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, may the Force be with you.